Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is Monica Love here with another video. And tonight I decided to do another video on the 3 elements of astrology. And the reason why I'm doing, I'm just gonna move my computer and turn it this way. It's like a mini slumber party that we're having tonight. So I'm obviously in the comfort of my bed right now, as you can see. All right, I'm back. I had to grab my water because we got to keep hydrated. All right, so tonight I'm going to be talking about the 3 elements of astrology and what makes astrology something that everybody should learn. What I'm going to do is I'm going to link down below a video. It's called Why You Need to Know Astrology, especially in the time that we live in now. So it's extremely important for you to know about astrology. Now, one of the things I want to mention is that astrology it helps you to understand yourself and other people. So the reason why I'm doing this video is because I'm going to show you how to learn the 3 elements of astrology, okay? The 3 elements that you need to know about astrology is going to assist you in knowing yourself and understanding a chart, okay? I'm not going to be doing this video about a basic chart because that's a lot of information and that's going to be a longer video. But this video is going to be just about the basic elements that you need to know in astrology, okay, when you're trying to study astrology, because a lot of you are interested in my videos. Some of you don't understand how I know my information. Some of you are just new to astrology. Some of you want to become astrologers. And what astrology can really do for you, I'm going to briefly talk about that. What astrology can do for you is astrology can teach you how to understand people better. Okay, so when I meet somebody, or I'm entering, a new relationship with somebody, or partnership, business partnership, relationship, career, whatever the case may be, I always want to study the other person. Okay, and that saves you a lot of time. Learning astrology is going to save you time, it's going to save you energy, and it's going to save you from meeting idiots, avoiding people that, you're probably not compatible with. But you need to understand how to read a chart. You need to understand what the 3 elements are. The basic, like I'm talking, this is like basic. If you are new to astrology and you don't even know what the basic idea of what a chart is or what the 3 major elements in astrology are, then you're not going to understand other people right off the bat. Right? Like, you should be able to look at someone's chart and know right away if you're compatible with them. That's what a real astrologer is able to do. Even if you don't want to be an astrologer, that's fine too. But at the same time, you want to make sure that you understand yourself too. So there's an element of understanding yourself and there's an element of understanding the other person. Now, if you become very skilled, like someone like me, I've been studying astrology for over 15 years. I can look at someone's chart and know right away if I'm compatible with them or if I'm going to have some issues with them. Okay. Now, I'm not going to say astrology is 100%, like you should just look at a chart and know. I've met people that I'm very compatible with, but I haven't given them, the time of day, or they haven't given me the time of day, right? So it has to be, astrology isn't just looking at a chart and being like, oh, we're compatible. Great. We're going to work out. No, it's also, I believe astrology plays one role, but I also believe that free will plays another role too, right? So some people might be compatible, but they never get to the point of knowing anything more about themselves. And let's say like the first time you meet them. Okay. Some people, they make friends with someone for, I don't know, a year, and then you stop talking to them. Like these are like subject case scenarios, as I call them, where anything can really happen. But the idea of this video and the reason why I'm doing it is because I want people to really learn the basics. Like when I'm talking the basics, like when you start to walk. If you don't know how to crawl, you're never going to learn how to walk. So you have to start crawling first before you walk. And this is what this video is about, because I think there's a lot of videos online that are very complex and a lot of people are confused. And the reason why I do astrology is not to confuse you. The reason why I do astrology is to teach you the basic fundamentals that you can use to therefore apply to your life so that you have some autonomy. When I say autonomy, I say self-governing. You're able to govern yourself, because if you watch my video, the video where I talk about the need for astrology in the time that we live in a very high-tech society now, and people are losing themselves in the technology. They're losing themselves because they don't understand themselves. There's there's confusion, there's mental health. So there's a reason why astrology was included in the stratosphere that I talk about. I talk about a stratosphere. I talk about a concave graph that identifies why astrology is important. Now, if you watch my video below, I talk about why you need to learn astrology and why they don't want you to know astrology. There's a reason why horoscopes exist, and that's a completely different video. So I'm not going to get into that, but I really want to focus on the 3 elements and what you need to know as a person who is interested in knowing more about astrology and being more powerful. Because what astrology does is it creates powerful individuals. And the reason why they don't want you to know about astrology is because they don't want too many people to have power. If you have too much power and you have too much knowledge about a certain individual or a certain person or a certain thing, then you become more powerful in a sense, right? So you have to make sure that when you are delving into astrology, you're doing it from a very, just place inside of yourself. You're not doing it just to empower, control people, because sometimes people get too much power. They control people. But really this, I do these videos to help people so they can understand themselves more. Okay. So let's get into the video. I have my handy dandy chart here. Before I talk about the 3 elements, I just want to mention, this is a chart, okay? If you're new to astrology and you don't know what astrology is, okay? Astrology is the study of the constellations in the sky, okay? And here we have a chart, and it has the 12 signs in it, okay? So most of you know what your sign is. If you don't know what your sign is, there's a link below in the description box that will take you where you need to go to learn about your sign and all of that, okay? So this is, there's 3 elements that we're going to be talking about, okay? So the 3 elements, I'm going to put them here. The first thing that you need to know about astrology is that obviously there's a chart, and you need to understand this chart. In order to understand and read charts and know about understanding other people and understanding yourself is the chart. You need to understand this chart. You need to study it. You need to know all the signs. There's 12 signs, okay? So the first thing is there's 12 signs. Okay, so I wrote 12 here in the corner. So there's 12 signs. And there are elements. Okay, so we're talking about 3 elements here. So there's elements. Okay. Then there's houses. There's planets, and then there's signs. Okay, so really, when I think about it, there's really 4 elements. That makes sense, 4 elements. But I wanted to keep this video very simple, so I might end up putting, instead of putting 3 elements, I'll put 4 elements. Okay, let's keep it simple. So there's 4 elements in astrology that you need to know. The first thing is you need to know that there is 12 signs in the zodiac, okay? I know a lot of people have talked about there being a 13th sign. That's a completely different video that I can talk about, but I'm not going to delve into that because I don't want to bombard you with too much information. I just want to keep this video very simple and straightforward. So here's the zodiac chart, okay? So as I put at the bottom, there's 4 elements, okay? So the elements are the, there's 4 elements, okay? So what are the 4 elements? Air, fire, water, and earth, okay? So each sign has an element that's attached to it. So if I show you this chart and I say, okay, what element is Aries? You should know, okay, Aries is a fire sign. If I go to Taurus, I would say, okay, Taurus is an earth sign. If I go to Gemini, that's an air sign. If I go to Cancer, it's a water sign. And then it repeats itself again. And it goes, okay, we're on Leo. That's a fire sign. Then we go to Virgo. That's an earth sign. So you see there's a pattern here. So the pattern is fire, earth, air, water. Fire, earth, air, water. Fire, earth, air, water. Okay. So those are the main elements that you have to understand. Each sign has an element, okay? And the element represents some sort of characteristic in a sign, okay? So each sign has a characteristic. For example, fire signs tend to be very outgoing, extroverted. They tend to be good at meeting new people, being fun and entertaining in party environments. So that's something that you need to understand if you want to know how to read an astrology chart. Okay, so when we talk about earth signs are very down to earth. They're grounded. They tend to like meditation. They like to, they're foodies. They're very down to earth types of individuals. Okay. Then we talk about the air signs. The air signs are very gregarious. They like to go out and party. They like to date around. They're not really, usually most air signs are very communicative. They like to communicate and they like to try things, new things. So they're very airy, almost like air, the element of air. It's, breath of fresh air. Think of a breath of fresh air, okay? And then we go to the water signs. The water signs tend to be very emotional because water takes up the space that it's in. So, water, you can throw it on the floor. It will literally take up the space of the floor, which is really just flat. So if you put water in a cup, it takes up the shape of a cup. So in a way, water is very powerful, but it's also very emotional. So when you understand the elements, you can attach them to each sign. Okay? So now that we talked about the elements, okay, we're going to move on to the houses. So I talk about the houses. The houses are, there's 12 houses, okay? So when we talk about the houses, I'm talking about each area of life. So the houses represent each area of life. So we have house number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. This means that in our lives, there's 12 areas, okay? So I'm going to go through the 12 areas. And I'm going to write them down actually on our chart so that you can have a better understanding. Okay, so house number 1, it's the self. And that's usually where your rising sign is, okay? House number 2 is possessions. Okay, house number 3 is communication. I'm just going to put commune. 4th house is home. Okay, 5th house is romance or sex. Or children also rule that house. Okay, then we're going to talk about work, everyday life, and health. Okay. Libra rules relationships, marriage, and business. I would put business here because that's where it's supposed to be, okay? Scorpio rules death and taxes, 2 things that you can't run away from. Sagittarius rules travel and expansion. Capricorn is status and work life or career. I'll put career. The 11th house is groups. And I would say dreams, your overall dreams, okay? And Pisces rules spirituality. Okay, hidden things. Okay, so now that I kind of filled in all this information, I'm going to talk about them briefly. I'm going to go through each of them. Now, here's where astrology gets a little complicated, okay? Because astrology is very mathematical. So, this is the thing that I don't get when a lot of people are like, astrology doesn't exist. Astrology is just horoscope. No, it's not. Okay, guys, it's not just learning about, it's not just learning about your sun sign. It's learning about the areas, it's learning about the elements, it's learning about how these elements interact with one another. Because think of it as chemistry, think of it as physics, think of it as mathematics. When you think of mathematics, there's so many different equations. You can literally create a robot out of mathematics. But if you don't have the right elements and the right equations put together, then it's difficult to create what you want. It's the same thing with astrology. Okay. So I'm going to keep this very brief and very simple. And here's my chart. So I'm going to pull this closer to me. You might not see my face, but you'll see the chart. And I'm going to talk about this chart. Okay. So let's start with house number 1. House number 1 is ruled by Aries, the sign of Aries. And Aries focuses on the self. Aries is all about the self. It's all about pioneering and starting something fresh, okay? So a lot of Aries people, they're very focused on themselves. They're very driven, okay? Because this is a planet that is ruled by Mars. So, we're talking about the houses right now. The next section is planets, but I'm going to keep it very simple and just focus on the houses, okay? These are the 4 elements. Elements, houses, planets, signs, okay? So house number 1 rules the self. It's all about the development of the self, pioneering, starting something new. Aries represents babies and infants, okay? Pioneers, people who start things, new things, okay? Then we go into, house number 2, that's possessions. So when we think about the self, we come into this world to attain things, okay? So just remember that when you're moving into the second house, which is ruled by Taurus, the sign of Taurus, we're talking about possessions, we're talking about materials, we're talking about, acquiring money and possessions here, okay? That's what Taurus rules. Then we're talking about Gemini, okay? So in life, we have to communicate. So communication is the next thing, okay, that is important, which is ruled by the 3rd house. This is the 3rd house of communication. The 4th house is home and family, which is Cancer, okay? Then we have Leo, which is romance, children, and sex, okay? Then we have Virgo, which is associated with health and everyday work life. So some people, everybody works. Most people work. They have an everyday life, things that they do every day in their life. So that would be the 6th house. Then we talk about relationships, marriage, and business. That's ruled by the 7th house, which is the sign of Libra. Then we have the sign of Scorpio, which rules death, rebirth, and taxes, and joint finances as well too. Okay, then we have Sagittarius, that rules travel, foreign languages, and the biggest planet in the solar system to date that we know, which is the planet Jupiter. Okay, then we talk about Capricorn, which is a sign of career and status in the world. That's why Capricorns tend to be hard workers. Okay, then we have Aquarius, which is groups, organizations, philanthropy. We're talking about your dreams, what dreams you have, your ultimate dreams in life are found in this house, the 11th house. And then we have Pisces, which is the unforeseen, hidden agenda that people have that you cannot see, the hidden forces, okay? The hidden forces of spirituality. So it's important to understand the houses, because once a planet is in a house, it's going to determine the coat. I call it the coat, okay? Because everybody has a coat that they wear, okay? Some people wear trench coats, some people wear winter jackets, some people, wear blazers, some people wear windbreakers, some people wear jean jackets. Some people wear, leather jackets. So the house is the jacket that the planet is going to wear. So once you understand the house, okay, think about it this way. If you come to my house has a certain vibe to it, okay? You see the wallpaper, it's got a certain vibe, okay? You see the colors, it's got a certain vibe. My vibe in my house, I like to have I like to make my house rich and nice and cozy and comfy. That's a house, that's a jacket that my house wears. My house wears a jacket. Each house here wears a jacket, which is a mood, okay? A mood. Okay, if I'm in the first house, it's a mood. It's a mood of self. If I'm in the second house, it's a mood of materials and possessions. If I'm in the third house, it's a mood of communication. So do you understand? The house is the jacket that you're going to wear when you're studying astrology. It's the jacket you're going to wear when you see planets in that sign. So now I'm going to move to planets. Okay, planets is the third element. So this is, this video is 4 elements. I'm talking about the four important elements of astrology. Okay, so let's hypothetically say a planet is in the first house. Okay, let's say a planet is in the first house. So we're talking self, Aries. I'm gonna say, the sun. The sun is in Aries. Okay, so for those of you who are Aries, who are either, a sun Aries, so when you were born, the sun was in the constellation Aries. If your sun is in the first house, okay, this is where it gets complicated, and stay with me here. If the sun is in the first house, it means that you are, very useful. You could be a very useful person. But here we're focusing on the 4 elements. So the first element is in the first house. The first house rules Aries, which rules a fire sign, and it rules the self. Okay, so the house is the self, understanding the self. The element is fire. The planet is the sun, and the sign is Aries. So do you see how that works? So if I'm studying someone's chart and I see the sun is here and it's in Aries, sometimes it's not. Sometimes the sun might be here, but it might be Libra, or it might be Gemini, or it might be Virgo. That's where it gets complicated. But here I'm going to keep it simple for you. So if we have the sun in the sign of Aries in the first house, this means that we now understand, okay, the 4 elements of astrology. The 4 elements are, again, I'm going to say it. Element is fire, because Aries is representative of fire. The house is of self. The planet is the sun, and the sign is Aries. Okay. Now, how would I interpret this? How would I understand who this person is? How can if I look at this person's chart right now and I see this, and I'm like, I want to know about this person. I want to know about them. I want to be powerful and understand who this person is. I'm going to know that this person is, driven by the self. They're all about themselves usually. Okay, Aries people are very focused on themselves. They should be, because that is what makes them an Aries person. Now, if the sun is in the first house, they're very cheerful people. People are drawn to them, because think about it. The sun is very warming. People are drawn to the sun. So when they see this, they're like, wow. Okay. Now, I didn't really talk about the planets, because the planets, each sign has a planet that's ruled by them. So I'm going to quickly discuss that before I go into really evaluating this, because when you evaluate somebody's chart, it can be very complicated, especially if you're a beginner. Okay. So here we're going to be talking about, so Aries is ruled by Mars. Okay. Mars is a masculine energy. So women who have Mars, or if you're a woman and you're an Aries, you tend to have a very domineering attitude sometimes. Sometimes Aries women can be dominating. They can know what they want. And depending on the other planets in their chart. Okay, so I'm going to quickly go through this. I'm not going to get into too much details. I just want you to know the elements, the basics, okay? So Aries is ruled by Mars. Taurus is ruled by Venus. Gemini is ruled by Mercury. Cancer by the moon. Leo by the sun. Virgo by Mercury. Libra by Venus. Scorpio by either Mars or Pluto, but it's Pluto that's the main planet that it rules now. Sagittarius by Jupiter. Capricorn by Saturn. Aquarius by Uranus. And Pisces by Neptune. Okay. So I'm not going to get into too much details, because I want to keep this video a fair length. I don't want you guys to fall asleep on me, because this is deep information. This is deep esoteric information that not a lot of people get to master. Okay. Like I have, I've mastered this information. Okay. So I hope one day that you can too, because you will be extremely powerful if you do decide to. Okay. and it will save you a lot of time and energy in understanding people. Okay, so now let's go back to Aries. So we're talking about the sun is in Aries in the first house. Okay, so again, we're talking about the sign. We got the sign is Aries, the planet is Mars, but we have the sun there. Okay, so how does that work? If you have the sun in the first house, but you have Aries there, how does that make sense? Well, here's the thing. I know right away that Aries is ruled by Mars. So if Aries is ruled by Mars, that means that if the sun is there, the sun illuminates anything in its path. So if the sun illuminates anything that's in its path, that means, okay, that, Aries is going to emphasize Mars. Aries is going to emphasize Mars. That means the sun is going to illuminate Mars energy, Martian energy, okay? So if the sun is there, the sun is very powerful, okay? Because, you look at the sun and it blinds you. You have to wear sunglasses in order to sustain your eyes. So a person who is an Aries with the sun in the first house is going to be very, very, people are going to see this person as very driven and hard working and competitive. Competitive is something that's associated with the planet Mars, because if you look at the history of Mars, you'll see that it's all about war. It's all about masculine energy. Okay. So I hope this information really helped you. I'm not going to get into it too much anymore because I think my chart is getting a little messy and overwhelming. But the basics that you need to know, before you even delve any deeper, and I'm going to get into even more complicated stuff. So if you're interested in this stuff and you want to not only know your forecast, but you want to know how to understand people and be more powerful, I'm talking power over people, over things in your life, power over yourself as well too, just to kind of weed out the crap in life, because sometimes you meet people and you don't know what their motives are. But if you know their chart, you're going to know a lot more about them. If that's something that you're interested in, please subscribe below. I will be discussing this more. This can be very complicated stuff, guys. And, if you have any questions about this stuff, please comment below. I will respond with a video, and I will be doing more videos as time goes on because, my goal right now is for people to understand this information. It's time now that people know this information. Enough is enough. People really have to understand themselves more. I know technology is taking over, so a lot of people are out of touch with themselves, out of touch with who they are. But if you know your chart and you understand your chart, you'll be able to be a lot smarter and ready for the game. Okay. So again, thank you for tuning in. I think I explained this pretty clearly. It might sound a little baffled right now because we are in Mercury retrograde. But like I said, if you do have any questions, please comment below. Please like and subscribe and share this video as well to somebody that you think might need this information. Okay. I really like to share this information with people who may be going through anxiety, depression, mental health, because I think mental health can really be, a lot of people can learn a lot about themselves, and it can really help conquer, the feelings of depression, the feelings of anxiety and mental health. Anyways, that's another video. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and I'll see you later. Okay. Thank you. Bye.